Kyrylo Denysov is 46 years old. He's a Ukrainian athlete with many years of experience. The man is engaged in parachuting. Kyrylo parachuted more than 2,000 times. Today, the athlete is instructing young people who will parachute for the first time. And this is Alexei Sharatkin. He's an extreme sports athlete. This guy has parachuted more than 3,500 times. Once Alexei was so carried away by parachuting that in 2004 he decided to create his own enterprise for the manufacture of parachute equipment in Kiev. It turned out that this type of business is quite cost-effective and necessary. This is evidenced by his numerous diplomas of gratitude conferred to him by various units of the armed forces of Ukraine with which the enterprise cooperates. In today's program, we will show our viewers how modern and reliable parachute equipment is made for extreme sportsmen, as well as for military and recreational jumps, the fans of which can get a real adrenaline surge. 600 years ago, people used a large umbrella instead of a parachute. With its help, they jumped from cliffs and towers. Parachute flying means 4 kilometers above the ground at a speed of 200 kilometers per hour. It turns out that a person cannot talk at such a speed of free flight. Athletes from England, Spain, Italy, and even New Zealand and Australia jump with parachutes of Ukrainian production. The history of the invention of the parachute dates back to the Middle Ages. Even then, a device resembling an umbrella was used. With this apparatus, people jumped from high towers and cliffs. The oldest parachute drawing by an unknown Italian inventor dates back to 1470. Sometime later, Leonardo da Vinci drew a sketch of a pyramidal parachute. He wrote, "If a man has a tent made of starched cloth, then he can throw himself from any height without a threat to his own life." Since then, parachute equipment has only been improved, and today it consists of a whole intricate layout system. When it comes to parachutes, we immediately imagine a huge canopy, with the help of which a man will safely fly down to the ground. The canopy is the bearing surface of the parachute designed to create aerodynamic drag, a component of the forces acting on this aircraft. However, not only the canopy is important in a parachute, but such a satchel with a suspension system, which has all the necessary equipment, is equally important. Each detail in it has its own purpose and is responsible for the safe jump of a skydiver. This apparatus has a suspension system that holds the paratrooper and attaches them to the parachute. It consists of leg girths, a main power strap, and a chest bridge, which do not allow the paratrooper to fall out of the suspension system. And such satchels with parachute utensils are made here in this workshop. Here masters work with various materials, fabric, plastic, and ropes. First of all, the preparatory process of cutting plastic for parts of the parachute satchel takes place. An engineer opens special software on his computer and downloads a sketch for his work, and then he processes it. Then he transfers the finished file to this laser machine that starts the process of cutting plastic. The master covers the upper section of the machine with a special parachute fabric. This must be done so that the smoke that will be generated during cutting does not disperse in the room, but exits into a ventilation pipe. This is a gas type of laser. For beam generation, mixtures of helium, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide are used. It is considered a high-tech machine. Due to its high accuracy, processing speed, and ease of management and maintenance, the laser machine is considered one of the best machines of modern equipment for processing materials. This is characterized by the fact that the laser works in close synergy with a personal computer. So it greatly simplifies the preparation of production, because the control program is created on the basis of a graphic sketch. So the work of the designer is almost a ready-made task for production. It takes about 8 minutes and the part for the satchel is ready. And this detail is the so-called braking stand. It tests tapes, intermediate links between the parachute and the suspension system. Such a machine should determine the braking behavior of such a tape. In other words, it should specifically determine what kind of workload it can withstand. The operator turns on the machine. He starts the system and pops the hydraulic cylinder manually like that. It is essentially a volumetric engine with reciprocating motion. Under the action of pumping, the piston extends and returns to its original position with the help of a spring. The tape stretches out as much as possible and tears. Here, the tape was torn with an effort of 1,271 kilograms. It means that it is suitable for the production of free ends, which are the link between the parachute and the suspension system. An integral part of parachute equipment is a reserve parachute. It is laid in a satchel along with the main one. It is known that approximately every 1,000th main parachute is not disclosed, so that a spare one will save the life of a paratrooper. And they're also sewn at this enterprise. For the most part, the masters work with a cloth called Cordura, which the company receives from the United States. It is a thick nylon fabric with a special thread structure that ensures water-repellent impregnation. Initially, the Cordura was intended for use by the armed forces. However, over time, it began to be widely used in the manufacture of backpacks and parachutes. A reserve parachute in Ukraine is shifted once every 6 months, regardless of whether it was opened during this time or not. This is necessary in order to ventilate the fabric and check that it did not get stuck or tangled. As for the main parachute, it is shifted every time after the jump. And here is the process of cutting small parts of the suspension system of a parachute pack. The operator previously measures the length on a continuous tape that is 12 centimeters long. The tape is marked with a white pencil, where it is necessary to make the cuts, and in a matter of minutes the machine cuts several dozens of identical parts. And this is the cutting section. Here masters cut out the parachute suspension system, a satchel, pillows, and other additional parachute equipment. The parachute system is selected individually for someone, with certain parameters of height and body weight. The experience of the paratrooper is also taken into account. The smaller the canopy, the more difficult it is to control. For beginners, large canopies are made. According to the formula, the cutter displays the dimensions for sewing the suspension system, the one in which the person sits during the flight. Each such tape has its own name and its purpose. Now a belt jumper is currently in work. First, the tape is carefully inspected for damage or spoilage. Then the master makes the markup and begins to cut the tape with a soldering iron. Now it is cutting of parts for embroidery. Then the part of the satchel container is cut, where the main parachute will be laid. And this is cutting of a Cordura for the visible part of the backpack. In order to sew a parachute pack, it is necessary to use up to 3 meters of fabric. The canopy of a round parachute is sewn from 11 panels and has 28 angles. Now there's the process of cutting a framework on which the entire satchel will be sewn. A special hole for the safety device is cut out on the framework. The display shows the flight altitude and the speed at which free fall occurs. The device measures the number of jumps and battery power. The battery is not rechargeable. Its service life is 15 years, and the safety device will immediately respond if the main parachute does not open. It will give the task for use of the emergency parachute and will open it at an altitude of 225 meters. If the paratrooper did not open the parachute, he experiences free fall at a low altitude. Then the safety device is activated and opens the reserve parachute. And this is the sewing section, where the satchel is directly sewn. Each craftswoman has her own process. And this is the so-called iron workshop, where the craftsmen install the eyelets of metal valves on the parachute system, so that it holds firmly and is safe. Now drilling. We drill holes. Then we install the eyelets in these holes. And this is the process of installing a spring on the spare parachute. It should automatically work at that crucial moment if the main parachute did not open. This is how the parachute system looks after the completion of its manufacturing process. That is, it comes to the assembly line. Parachutes are mounted. They are joined to the parachute system, and in this form the parachute is ready for use.
Ось в такому вигляді він готовий до стрибку.
Becoming the owner of such a parachute is not a cheap pleasure. Prices range from $5,000 to $10,000. However, such a price does not scare foreign customers. Thus, 90% of the products are exported, and the parachutes are purchased by England, Spain, Italy, and even New Zealand and Australia. There are many interesting facts about parachuting. When someone is in free fall during a jump, then before opening the parachute, they fly at a speed of 200 km per hour. At this speed of free flight, it is almost impossible to talk. So it is a fallacy when the paratrooper heroes calmly fly and talk to each other in Hollywood action movies. It's interesting that the highest jump was made by extreme sportsman Felix Baumgartner. He jumped from an altitude of about 39 kilometers, and he reached an amazing speed of free fall, 1,342 kilometers per hour. Specialists claim that modern parachuting is relatively safe, and the probability of breaking during the jump is very low, only 0.25%. This is how the parachute system is put on by the paratrooper. First, we put on the leg girths. Like a backpack, we put on the suspension system. Fasten the chest bridge and tighten the leg girths. After you put on the parachute system, it is almost impossible to drop out of it. At the back we have a parachute. In front is a chest bridge, which does not allow us to fall forward. And this is a two-seater parachute system for performing instructor and beginner jumps. This is the case when you can perform a jump without preliminary parachute training. At the airport, the beginner is instructed for 10 to 15 minutes. The subordinates of Kyrylo Denysov, novice paratroopers, jump out of the plane from an altitude of about 800 meters. For 3 seconds, they're in free fall, while the parachute opens, and the fall under the canopy lasts about 5 minutes more. So today, parachuting is a popular extreme sport. In Ukraine, about 20 organizations offer commercial skydiving. And this is not surprising. After all, the feeling of a bird's flight is a rest in the arms of adrenaline, and such sensations are given by our fellow countrymen who produce parachute equipment in Ukraine.